Welcome back. It's exactly 9:26 a.m. and we're now going to be talking with Acting Chief Director of Community Development at the National Department of Social Development. And that, of course, is you, Luyanda Ngonyama. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, and thanks for the opportunity, and morning to your listeners.
Okay, something serious is brewing, is it not? Because we're hearing that NPOs are at risk. And this is because
Yeah.
of non compliance, and Social Development Department is now cracking down on them. The big question is if you are a registered NPO, are you at risk? What would put an NPO at risk? So let's start right at the beginning. What is an NPO? Who qualifies to have an NPO? What are the benefits and what are the risks attached in this situation?
So a NPO is a non-profit organizations. In other words, it's a organization that is established not to derive benefits to the directors or to derive money or what people call shares for the sole purpose of directors. So, whatever income that would have been generated through this organization is shared within the organization for the purpose of implementing the programs of the organization. Now, it could register with the Department of Social Development if it is a voluntary association, or it could register with the CIPC if it is a NPC non-profit company, or it could register with the master of the High Court if it is a trust. Now, the good thing then with the Non-Profit Organizations Act of 1997, it recognizes all those organizations as non-profit organizations, whether it is registered as a voluntary association with the Department of Social Development, or as an NPC with the Master of the High Court, or as a trust, or as a trust with the Master of the High Court, or as an NPC with CIPC. Now, usually non-profit organizations are established in order to address some community challenges or to bring about development, social justice, advocacy, or health to a particular community.
So here we are now, you wanting to crack the whip on NPOs who haven't been complying. What is this compliance issue all about? What ought they have done and why have they not done it? What happens now?
Okay. So compliance then, once you are registered as a non-profit organization, you are expected at the end of 12 months. So at the end of 12 months, which we call a financial year, you would have chosen it as a organization, the date that your financial year ends in your constitution, which you submit to the department at the time of registration. Once that 12 months ends, you have an obligation then within 9 months to submit what we call annual reports. Annual reports are nothing too much to worry about. It's just a report of the work that you have done to assist your community in a particular year. It's usually a narrative report, which we call a program report, financial statements, which must be prepared by a registered accountant, and then a accountant letter of good standing, which really demonstrates that the money that has been fundraised has been used for the purpose that you would have requested it for. In other words, it has been used to invest back into the organization. Then that letter then confirms that. Now, these are standard things that organizations would know about. But the challenge that we have seen in South Africa is that usually these non-profit organizations or some people will register non-profit organizations at the time when there is funding available, either from the National Lottery or from any other development to register these organizations. But once they get disappointed and they do not receive any funding, they do not continue to maintain the compliance status of the organization. Instead, they will just go and open a new organization. Hence, then there is a surge or there is a high number of non compliant organizations.
So, how are you clamping down? What does this mean? Would you allow them then to register a new organization? What is the cost to the person involved? And in this situation, I see there's a high number of up to, gosh, I can't believe the 6,000 non compliant NPOs. Is it going to be easy enough for your department to monitor and make sure they comply or shut them down? How do you move forward on this?
Well, the onus is on the non-profit organizations at the end of their financial year to come back to the department and inform the department of whether they do not have funds, they are not funded. We will provide them with a template. It's a one-pager form that they fill in and declare that it's a sort of like an affidavit, declare that we want to, then those that are funded, then they will do what I've already said. And then what we usually do, if an organization then at the time of deregistration now wants to remain compliant, they simply fill in that form and their status will remain as compliant, will change the status of the organization. It is not in the interest of the department to deregister these organizations, but at some stage we need to start applying the law as the department.
Okay, my final question to you then is, I think in the past, a lot of people might have jumped onto this bandwagon of registering NPOs with a view, and I know I'm making a generalization, so forgive me here, but with a view of thinking they can dodge the tax man and be able to make some money for themselves as well. Yes, the intent might have been to have some sort of a service for disadvantaged communities, but in the process enrich themselves as well. How do you view that? And have you come across a lot of such cases? What happens then? Do you deregister them, or do they just carry on running these little organizations but taking the bulk of the profits for themselves?
Well, I must say that those days are over now. As government, we are working together. We are working with the SARS. We are working with the Financial Intelligence Center. It has indeed come into our attention that some individuals have a tendency to abuse NPOs. We also know that there are attempts also to use non-profit organizations for money laundering and for terrorist financing. As government agencies responsible for the registration and monitoring of non-profit organizations, we are sharing information about organizations that we perceive to be suspicious, and very soon we'll be knocking at their doors to inform them that we are no longer using this organization for the good intention of the public good. Then they will face then the mighty of the law.
People who are listening to us this morning regarding NPOs and feel that there is a need in their communities to do some upliftment work, how challenging would it be for them to then apply for to be registered as an NPO? And would you be able to direct them to where they can go to for funding, and how accessible is that situation? Luyanda, are you still there? Okay, he is reconnecting. I think that's an important question that needs to be answered. And I think he is trying to reconnect with us. Let's see if we can talk with Luyanda or wrap up the interview by asking that all important question. All right, I think we're going to have to leave it there. The only information or the only suggestion I can make is if you are interested in registering an NPO or a trust or an NPC, then perhaps you should just try and get in touch with the Department of Social Development. That brings us, of course, up to 9:36, and we are going to be talking in a minute or two about uh, spotlight on Syria, inspiring minds, transforming lives, and this, of course, is our new guest to the country. As you know, that we here at Salam Media are on the move all the time to bring absolutely dynamic minds with the most dynamic of interests and visions working all around the world. And this time around, our guest, of course, is Masiha Saluji. She's an ex South African living and doing really amazing work in Syria.